Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
Band from Ringside. Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, AJ Styles pulls a Mark Henry. MJF is back with his first big promo on Dynamite. We have a very intriguing, newsworthy pay-per-view predictions for NXT Battleground, and maybe less so for Dominion, but still looks like a pretty good card. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast. I mean, on paper, Dominion looks pretty fucking good.
Dude, don't even give it that much credit.
Okay, ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark, so welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Hold on, do you want the head coach or the owner?
Head coach.
A.k.a. Jason Mid, or if it was the owner, it's going to be A.k.a. Smart Cuban. Sitting directly across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Because the beefers in the hood are always hard. You come talking that trash, we'll pull the card, knowing nothing in life, but to be legit, you can quote me, boy, because I'm talking that tall shit. And on that lovely note, I'll ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 362, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good Smart said, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the holy trinity of BFR. Bill, welcome back, you little bitch. Vice, good to see you. Let's kick it out to that west side. Bring in my man, 3 Beer.
Wait a minute, where did I go?
I was just told to say it.
We gonna get to it.
Oh, is this some inside joke? See, and out there in Portland, Oregon, we have 2 Beers, Zach Pullman. What's going on, 2 Beers, Zach?
Beer for Western House.
I don't know about the hood, but the beefers in Southeast Portland are always hard, that's for sure. Especially when they announce Hechicero versus ZSJ for CMLL. I'll be edging until the 22nd of June here.
Damn, that's just randomly happening?
Yeah, I saw it on Squared Circle.
Well, fuck.
And sitting directly to my right, we have Bo Geisman, a.k.a. Vice. What's going on?
Hey, guys, I watched all the wrestling this week, and I'm going to be dead honest. It was like watching my ex-wife drive my brand-new car off a cliff. I got mixed emotions.
I gotta ask, what's the welcome back thing?
We'll get to that. I was going to say this would be part of Zach's 2 count, I'm sure.
Okay, all right. So we are coming at you from beautiful St. Charles, Missouri. It is a lovely evening. It is still daylight out. We started early because there's the kid is at Grandma's house, so we don't have to worry about putting her to bed. And, I'd like to watch the last quarter of the finals, so we're going to try to get this going. But without further ado, we got a lot of predictions, a lot of wrestling to talk about. Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Let's go over to WWE, and we'll talk about the aforementioned AJ Styles. I think that's one of the biggest stories of the week coming out of WWE. Leading up to this point, obviously, AJ Styles had been trying to maneuver his way back to a second title match versus Cody Rhodes. Went to Nick Aldis, tried to get to Nick to make the match, couldn't do it. Nick said he had to go to the end of the line. So slowly but surely, with internet rumors kind of swirling around it, AJ Styles comes out in a suit looking fairly dapper, adding more fuel to the fire of a possible retirement speech coming up throughout the show. You just saw AJ, weaving through in and out the backstage. The LA Knight crossing was fairly impactful because this was his last major feud. LA Knight going into WrestleMania. LA Knight gives him props, so obviously AJ comes out. And, yeah, he got my ass because I was thinking he was getting ready to retire. And then the next thing you know, he's pounding fucking Cody Rhodes like he stole something from his grandmother. AJ Styles clearly not retiring. He's getting back into the mix. He's probably going to get the title match at Clash of the Castle. That'll be the second match between AJ and Cody. I like the first one. I should say the second one should be just as better because now you have an emotional connection to this match. If you like Cody, you don't want to see Cody getting beat down by anybody, much less AJ Styles duping him into this scenario. If you're an AJ fan, this might be one of his last big runs at the title, so you want to appreciate this. Either way, I like the setup. For me personally, I didn't even see any of the spoilers, so it got me immediately, and I was like, son of a bitch, I should have known, because obviously Mark Henry was the same way. It would just feel like if I would have just paid attention, I would have saw it coming. I was just engrossed into the show, and then, like I said, the next thing you know, I'm like, son of a bitch, this is Mark Henry all over again.
Two Beer, what'd you think of it?
Oh, man, I texted you guys when I saw it. I thought this was fantastic professional wrestling television. Everybody was so good. AJ was so good. I'm pretty sure Cody actually shed a real tear. Just superb acting and delivery and just great heat. It was just perfect. Like, if you wanted to set up a rematch, this was like the absolute perfect way to do it. The last one was fantastic. It was one of the best wrestling matches of the year. Maybe the best that didn't have Will Ospreay in it. And they're like, yeah, let's do that again in front of another hot crowd in Europe.
That should actually be how we talk about it from now on, like the best non-Ospreay match. But
we're going to talk about that.
Just because it's unfair, you know. But I was a big fan of the angle. I did not buy into it one iota, and I'm a little surprised to hear you say that you did, but I'm never going to shame anybody for getting worked by something that's trying to work you. That's what wrestling should be. So I'm glad you got worked. People make fun of me for getting worked by the Mark Henry thing. I got fucking worked.
Oh yeah,
by the
for
Mark
sure.
Henry thing.
Yeah.
Now this was not on the level of the Mark Henry one.
Not even close.
But the suit looked fucking dope. I'll say that. It did seem like a nod to the Mark Henry thing.
Oh, yeah.
And Cody is...
wrestlers retiring in pastel.
Yeah. And, Cody's not a corny baby face, but he's just corny enough to pull this off and make it seem believable for his character.
For sure.
So, for that reason, I give the segment and the angle an A.
Yeah.
What you got, Bo?
So my son, his favorite wrestler is AJ Styles. Like, he's got the hat. If you look at my profile pic, it's me and my son, and he's wearing the hat. When I heard that he was going to retire, I started talking to him. I started preparing Owen for it. I'm like, hey,
sure,
we might not see you again.
Yeah, but we'll always.
And then that happened, and Owen was like, he was legitimately sad. And then AJ just messed him up, just fucked him up, and my son was like, this is what I'm talking about. This is why he's my favorite. He's back. He's back.
And that right there is the beauty of pro wrestling.
Dude, we both got sold.
Because that really is an
we
angle.
We both got sold.
That really is an angle. You know, it's been long enough since the Mark Henry thing that I'm sure a lot of people watching today's product, like your son, who wasn't alive for it,
right,
but doesn't, there are 15, 20-year-olds that probably don't remember or just got into it in the last year or so. So it's a good enough thing to run back. If it's executed well. It was executed well.
No, the Good Brothers came back, and I was like, okay, Good Brothers are coming out with them. Makes sense. Everything that they did leading up to the point of him, actually attacking Cody Rhodes made sense. And that's all I asked. It got me good, and I have no problem in it.
Good Brothers probably came up with it. Hunter's probably like, hey, you guys want to come up and wrestle on SmackDown? And they're just like, I don't know. Can we just maybe just do like a skit where like AJ retires and you just stand there maybe?
They weren't even wearing their shirts.
I mean,
they were wearing all black.
We tired, boss. Dog tired.
just got off the plane. 16 gnats deep. Fuck it, let's roll. Too sweet.
I mean, no shit. Those guys, they're probably the smartest guys in the fucking promotion. Just kind of bouncing around from show to show, not doing anything. They just kind of hang out in AJ's orbit. Now they do have a match this weekend.
The minimum salary is $350,000.
I know. It's like they are fighting a match this week. I am curious to see how much effort they put into this match. Something tells me Axiom and Nathan Frazier are going to be flying all over the place.
They're gonna be like some 22-year-old assholes that are just influencers, and I'm using quote marks.
The group project, when you're working hard, the good brothers in the back just like, well, we're here. We're participating. They getting the A, you getting the A.
God bless them. This is a fine program for Cody's first run. We know that Cody's going to hold it for a while. I have more to say about title changing hands later on, maybe, but we've seen a lot of long title reigns, and we're settling in for another one.
Okay,
AJ's got zero chance of winning.
I agree.
But, let him have another match.
Yeah.
First one lit the place on fire.
I have no problem with this. I agree. I have no, it's like I always said, if it's predictable, fine. I just want to see something great on the way to being the predictable finish. Let's jump up to the top of SmackDown, where Nia Jax was introduced as the Queen of the Ring, calls out Bayley, but then, to me, the first swerve of the night was Piper Niven attacking Bayley on the way out. Obviously, Chelsea Green in tow, just manhandling, or in this case, woman-handling poor Bayley all the way into the ring. Senton bomb the whole 9 yards. So now, in a bit of a surprise, not a huge surprise, because obviously Piper Niven is born or originated from that side of the pond, whatever you want to call it. She'll be flying over to Glasgow, Scotland to wrestle Bayley for the WWE Women's title.
She'll be a babyface over there.
I would like to think so.
Bayley's a big babyface.
Yeah, I was going to say Europe loves Bayley. They love singing their song.
Yep.
So that would be interesting, but I'm kind of leaning towards Bayley on that, especially with Nia Jax looming over the horizon, for lack of a better term. That's probably the program they're going to go with. It's good to see them actually use Piper Niven a little bit.
Fuck yes.
We're coming not far away from the Doudrop era, but far enough to where I almost forgot about that until somebody brought it up on a promo recently. But I'm glad to at least see her get this chance.
The Bang Bang Scissor Doudrop gang.
You mean former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Doudrop?
Doudrop. Yeah, that's one of those.
Doudrop's name.
That's like Vince's last fucking booking decision.
God damn.
Yeah, but then
Let's call her Doudrop.
Yeah, but the finishing move would be get him up.
What do you think about this, Zach?
Oh yeah, good opponent for Bayley. Both really good wrestlers, and it might be an interesting dynamic where she might be more of a babyface over there. But that's a match that I want to see, so that's a good booking.
What's next?
Ciampa defeats Austin Theory. A little, I guess, asterisk to this match is Grayson Waller talking a little smack on Austin Theory, which distracts him, leading to the finish. Are we getting ready to have the tag team champs drop the titles this quick?
I don't know if they're going to drop the titles this quick. I do like the idea of them not liking each other and just both being heels. But they could play it almost like more for comedy, kind of. The other night didn't seem very funny. It seemed like they were actually pissed at each other. But, it's been a while since we had a tag team champs that didn't get along.
I would like to present the Wolf Dogs, but neither here nor
Wolf Dogs got along great. They were best pals by the end.
No, they weren't. Stop. Don't you over
No, they got along.
No, they weren't. They were still taking digs at each other, man.
Good-hearted, though. That's the way me and you do it.
I was to say, man, give me a break. Bayley and Naomi meet backstage. Naomi's ready to wrestle Piper and Chelsea Green at a later point. But then Blair Davenport was interrupted by Naomi for this match. Blair Davenport has been called up for a while, just haven't really seen her. This feels like a spot where Blair Davenport could actually get in and maybe beat Naomi. I wouldn't want to see it, but it could actually happen. LA Knight corners Nick Aldis. He's looking for Logan Paul. I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be the start of a Logan Paul LA Knight SummerSlam title match for the U.S. title. Zach, interest in a LA Knight, Logan Paul SummerSlam match?
Interested more in the build really than the match. It seems like a good matchup, and it seems like it just makes a lot of sense. LA Knight super over as a babyface, Logan Paul super over as a heel. People really love to hate him. So, and they both can talk, and I think that would be fun. I also think that maybe LA Knight beating him for that title kind of gives LA Knight a little kayfabe boost. Also, because Logan Paul like wrestled and beat a lot of people just in his short time wrestling. But I'm interested.
I bet Logan Paul and LA Knight can have a decent match because, Logan Paul probably while training wrestled Bill DeMott a couple times. It's pretty similar.
God damn, dude. Just
I hope Logan Paul can get a good match out of him.
It is funny to think Logan Paul carrying like the 25-year veteran to a good match.
Yeah.
Well, and LA Knight's drinking Prime, so we should be all right.
Jesus Christ.
He's just gonna. I mean, I'm with Zach. I'm looking forward more to the build. This doesn't really do much for me on paper.
Let's say, for the sake of argument, LA Knight wins. Do you think this is now Logan Paul's essentially call up towards the top of the card, the main event scene, whatever you want to call it?
I'll tell you what, LA Knight needs the belt more than Logan Paul does.
Zach, do you agree?
Yeah, if belts are props that are meant to, get people over, help get people over or solidify, I think so. I mean, LA Knight's over, but I don't know how people like his catchphrases. I don't know how seriously they take him as a performer.
Okay. Angel Garza and Andrade. I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm just
because he's Hispanic and it's Angel. Like those Hispanic guys with that first name, it's pronounced Angel.
Okay, whatever.
That's how I say it sometimes.
Okay,
just keep stereotyping. That's fine.
I mean, that's just their language.
Garza trying to recruit
those people.
Andrade. Speaking of those people, Andrade tried to be reeled in, recruited, whatever you want to call it, to Legado del Fantasma. Andrade simply just not having it. That played out more so in the Apollo Crews match. Where the fuck has Apollo Crews been? I mean, damn, it just in a world where Triple H is, taking over. Everybody's kind of seemed like they've gotten their chance, and all of a sudden Apollo Crews just pops out of nowhere. I'm like, damn, where you been, homie? I say, we found Apollo, everybody. Don't worry about it. He loses to...
Pretty sure he stole my grandma's money on the internet.
Oh, you ain't shit, nigga.
He had the Nigerian accent. I don't think that was his last gimmick. I think that was a while ago.
Well, they also had him working security at the place that night, and they were like, oh, fuck, you're already here. Might as well throw you in.
I say, yeah, we got a last-minute dropout with the Andrade match. Can you take off
security? That was not a good angle. The Bang Bang Scissor Dewdrop Babatunde gang.
Yikes! If you keep this up the rest of the night,
man, it's gonna be. I was just thinking, man, it's gonna be hard. I should start writing this shit down.
Dude, Bill has been practicing this shit all week, and I guarantee he's only got 3 bullets, and we got 2 of them.
I was like, oh no.
He's gonna be in 40 minutes. He's gonna be spacing.
Right when I said that, I was like, oh no, am I gonna have to keep this bit up?
You
are. He's gonna be like Brett Favre, just throwing off the hip.
Bloodline segment was next. Once again, interesting segment because I think Paul Heyman, to me, is the most interesting part of it because he's trying to be the voice of reason of a bunch of savages running around him, and that was brought up again where now he's trying to point out to Solo that the Tongaloa Tama duo are savages. You just can't necessarily work with these guys. Solo is still not having it. He is basically taking leadership over the bloodline. Obviously, that leads into the space cadets, the Street Profits versus, I'm going to call them GOD for these purposes because that's just how I know them.
I love that you almost called the Street Profits the Space Cadets.
I know, dude, I am fucking exhausted, man. You have no idea. I'm just barely here to begin with. God actually wins the match. Kind of a little bit of a sloppy match, not necessarily what I expected, especially between two teams that I think have chemistry between the teammates and should have chemistry with each other. It just didn't feel like this was very well done. And once again, it goes back to my point. Predictable is fine as long as we get something that's good on the way to the predictable finish. This wasn't that.
Zach, go ahead. I didn't watch this very closely.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of strong feelings, but I figured that God were going to win. I do like the way that what Paul Heyman's kind of doing. I think he's doing a really great job of getting like Bloodline 2.0 over big.
Definitely. I mean, it definitely feels adjacent to the Bloodline, but it doesn't feel like the Bloodline. So, and they've kept a lot of the heat. Solo's a big part of that, but yep. I mean, Heyman's like the biggest part of it. So
he's like reading the book. It feels like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Heyman really is kind of automatic when he sinks his teeth into something, as we've seen. I mean, the guy's just getting better and better. And when all the WrestleMania stuff, and he was going to the Hall of Fame, he's like, no, he's like, we got plans. It's like, you gotta believe him.
The man makes a point. I do like Paul Heyman. I can't get enough. I'll be lying if I said otherwise. Speaking of Paul Heyman and the KO segment happens just before the tag match. I wanted to talk about that more so of Paul Heyman trying to be the voice of reason, trying to tell KO it's probably not the time to be fucking with the Bloodline. These guys aren't the Bloodline that you know and hated from before. Just don't care. I love how Paul just finally snaps at the end, was like, you know, everybody else gets their moment of redemption, but Paul Heyman can't get his moment of redemption. I'm the Hall of Famer. I'm the wise man. And he finally just snaps and, you know, the microphone hits KO. And, you know, of course, it's the ultimate, you know, if you fucked up portion of the program. But I think just him going that far left from his character just shows how dangerous he feels that this Bloodline 2.0 is, and he's trying to tell everybody else, but it's the boy crying wolf. We've seen this before. We're not falling for it, and KO's going to be the first to probably suffer the consequences of this 2.0 Bloodline.
Zach.
Yeah, and this is actually kind of what I was thinking of this week whenever I was talking about the Paul doing such a good job of getting this over, keeping it relevant. Plus, KO is a great foil. He is one of the early Bloodline antagonists, but it's been like 3 years now, and there's a new group of Bloodline, so kind of perfect for him to fill in that role again.
Yeah, you know, God bless KO. He does a lot of dirty work for him. He gets big spots, though, too. But God bless KO. Can we get KO a couple more of these fiery, more serious toned promos in the middle of the ring? The guy is so fucking good. And, you know, I just want more KO. I love KO. That's my analysis as a journalist.
Indy Hartwell confronts Jade and Bianca backstage. Apparently, the tag champs hurt Candice LeRae in their latest match. Indy is pissed. We'll see where that ultimately goes. Obviously goes somewhere, but not the way I would initially thought. Neither here nor there. Bayley and Naomi lose to Chelsea and Piper. It's Chelsea Green pinning Naomi in this spot. This was what it was. It was, once again, a bill for Piper and Bayley going to Clash the Castle, but like I said, not the match that I necessarily wanted to see or needed to see. And then obviously AJ closes out SmackDown to finish the SmackDown portion of the WWE analysis. I thought SmackDown was really good. It wasn't a lot of wrestling, but it was a lot of connective tissue leading towards Clash of the Castle. Obviously now you'll probably have, like we said, AJ, Cody Part 2, and then you would have Logan Paul probably in some form or fashion crossing paths with LA Knight, building up for that. Paul Heyman, KO. I thought this was really good.
I got caught up in the Babatunde bit, but it was really nice to see Apollo Crews again. The guy fucking rules. He's one of those guys I just like watching wrestle. Like I can watch.
He's great.
Yeah, he's really good. And Steve was over here Sunday, and we were eating sandwiches while our wives were at a shower, and I just had SmackDown on and Apollo Crews. Steve's like, where the fuck has this guy been? It's like, yeah, where the fuck has this guy been? He's incredible. So welcome back. Now we'll see you again in 3 months.
Yeah, no shit. I was getting ready to say, put a tracker on his car, make sure we can find him just in case.
Yeah, he's going to go back to busting tables at that Dave & Buster's.
Jesus fucking Christ. Don't. No.
Getting tipped out by Serena D.
God damn! Fuck you guys, man. Let's move over to Raw. God damn. That's going to be the next running bit. Sorry, Apollo Crews. I tried, brother, but you just going down. You catching the BFR shrapnel before you know it. Liv Morgan and Dom open up Raw on Monday night. Obviously, Liv Morgan and Dom were a huge hit on Monday night, so not a huge surprise that they open up Monday Night Raw. Liv slowly but surely reeling Dom in to the point where Finn Balor had to come out and try to pull Dom aside. I like how Dom was trying to play it cool, but when Liv rubbed his head, you could see Dom smiling. I think this is an amazing segment. I've been on record of not being a Liv Morgan fan, but this is getting me captivated because I'm such a Dom guy that now Dom being pulled between Liv and Rhea, I think is going to be amazing television to watch. Somebody put a meme out there. It was the custody of Dom when Eddie and Ray had him when he was a little kid.
Rhea versus Liv for custody of Dom.
Yeah, it was a ladder match. It was the whole 9 yards. It was on Facebook. I was literally laughing as I was driving to work the other day.
What you think of this, Zach?
It's great TV, super fun, and I thought of that too. Not in that context of a ladder match, but really, I feel like that match is not just for the title; it really is for, if not custody, then at least like Dom is going to make a decision in that match, and I think an early prediction is he turns on Mommy. She goes big baby face. People love her anyway. And he pairs off with Liv to kind of further the destruction of the Judgment Day.
I'd be cool with that.
They're not having a battle for the custody of Dom. They're having a battle for the custody of his heat.
Yeah, all right. And I think that is yeah, I was getting ready to say literally and figuratively. I think
that's as good as that's gonna get too.
If you really want to make Liv a big time heel, this is the way to do it. Dom is a walking heel magnet, and fans love to boo his ass. Liv is basically flipped heel at this point. It makes sense now, like Three Beard said, that Rhea can now flip babyface, and now you kind of have that. It was already kind of going that route anyway. Fans love her, and she's super over with the fans. It's just you needed a reason or an excuse to do it. Now here's the excuse to do it.
Yep.
Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser, the first match on Raw on Monday night. I like Ludwig Kaiser. I think he's an amazing talent, and I think this was a pretty good way to get him over against one of the stiffer guys that work on the roster. Ludwig Kaiser beats Sheamus. I thought this, like I said, this is a really good match. Not the best match of the show, but it was a nice way to, I guess, establish is the word I'm looking for. Ludwig Kaiser separate from Gunther. We haven't seen those two next to each other in a while. The last time we saw fuckery from Ludwig Kaiser, that was King of the Ring first round against Sheamus. So now that's how we got this match. And I thought this match delivered on the build leading up to the match.
What you think of it, Zach?
Yeah, good use of both guys. Ludwig needs a boost. Sheamus, the spring chicken. He's out there put guys over at this point in his career.
Yep. Sheamus out there doing the job. Good on him.
Judgment Day backstage. I'm trying to think. This was Braun Strowman. Yeah. This was just Damian Priest just barking out the orders, feeling like more of the established leader than before, which leads to the Finn Balor Dragon Lee match. Once again, the question, not only where the hell is Apollo Crews been, but kind of where the hell has Dragon Lee been? A month, even though, before the match, they had, a vignette of Dragon Lee, kind of putting them over. So I was like, okay, I'm thinking he's getting ready to wrestle J.D. McDonough. And then Finn Balor comes out. I was like, oh no. Finn Balor wins over Dragon Lee. I'm not saying it's a surprise, but the way that Dragon Lee has been at least built up a little bit, it feels like he's the heir apparent to Rey Mysterio. You pair them, you're putting them next to each other. And now to have him lose just felt like the rug got pulled out from under me a little bit. I'm not, upset about it or going to lose my shit. I mean, Finn Balor is a former Universal Champion, so there's something to be said about that. But I guess just weird how Dragon Lee was, built up to fail in this spot. I just thought this was a way to, reestablish him, not saying that, WWE needs it. There's a boatload of talent, but Dragon Lee went to WWE for a reason, and I would like for them to utilize him in that manner.
Zach?
I don't think it was bad that Dragon Lee lost so much just because it was Finn Balor. But he had a video package. It does seem like they're going to give him a nice little push eventually. But I feel like just like the curse of the masked man, like in every company, it's like that guy's going to get over every match. Like we'll just have him lose. It doesn't really matter.
Yep. I mean, he, those, I don't know. Like, it just seems like I don't even know how to say this. There's too much going on in that Legado del Fantasma, LWO, that whole knot of stuff. It's like it all seems the same. It doesn't seem like they're in any other, like, nobody's edging each other out to be bigger than the next guy. And I'm talking about Escobar and Dragon Lee. It's like everybody, they just seem stagnant. Like Zach said, it doesn't surprise me that he lost because it was to Finn Balor. Of course, they're going to give him vignettes. They gave Sin Cara a bunch of vignettes too, and then hold up. I mean, he still came up and lost a lot. Babyface luchadors take losses. I mean, I guess that's just the bottom line.
I don't know if we should be putting Sin Cara and Dragon Lee in the same sense, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, they're both luchadors that are being pushed real hard by the same company, just 10 years apart, maybe 15 years apart. When did Sin Cara come around?
Were we doing the pod?
I don't think that we were. Anyway,
okay.
No, he wasn't even in WWE.
Okay,
when we started.
Yeah, I was about to say it's been a little bit. Second Judgment Day segment is where Carlito has been ordered to take out a Braun Strowman to eliminate the Strowman problem from the Judgment Day. Let's fast forward to that because I thought this was kind of at least a little significant. This was the first time we actually saw Dom without the cast, taking some bumps, swinging the chair, so it looks like Dom is healthy. But to me, I think the biggest takeaway was Judgment Day obviously beating down Braun Strowman. At some point, this Wyatt Six is going to make its appearance. We see more and more QR codes, small interruptions.
Is Strowman part of that?
Yes. So I'm thinking this might be the way to write him off TV, to have this Wyatt Six, or at least another member of the Wyatt Six, if you don't want to bring them all at once, a second member to be introduced. Braun Strowman has, easily just ran roughshod over anybody and everybody since he's come back. And now, granted, it took all of Judgment Day and a chair to do it, but Braun Strowman was beat down on Raw towards the end of the show.
Let me ask Zach this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited do you get when Braun Strowman shows up on your TV?
4.
That's a little bit higher than me. I'm at like a 1.5.
I was expecting something lower from Zach at that point, but I mean, neither here nor there. It kind of just.
I just think of him like every now and then. You never know. Like they might do something gimmicky and cool, like have him flip over an ambulance or something.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, have him like pick up a
run though.
You could see him pick up a garbage dumpster and dump it on somebody.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should do more stuff like that because all they do is they have him chase people and run, and like he's like pretty athletic for his size, but like he's not like a good runner.
Yeah,
So-
man, that is so funny. I was thinking the exact same thing this week. I was like, he looks really unsure of himself. He looks like a toddler running around. Like when he slows down, but he doesn't want to like put his hands out. It's really pretty funny, actually.
Jesus.
Well, I mean,
I bet he's pretty fast in the straight line. I'll say that.
dude, he's not Tom Cruise, but I guarantee you'd catch your ass.
No, he would not. No, I'm faster than Braun Strowman. I am faster than Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, come by me.
We're going to race on this street.
Let's have a race.
Yeah, I was getting ready
That's
to
the
say.
most audacious. Come find me yet.
I was getting ready to say we ain't fighting. We just racing.
It's certainly the most confident I've ever been.
Oh
saying,
yeah,
come
he
find
said.
me.
You know, he sat back too. Now this is
I can't beat up Eddie Kingston. I can outrun Braun Strowman.
This is the most confident man because he sat back on that shit and just really just laissez-faire that shit on
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, he stared right in our eyes like we weren't shit.
Picture
I was
it.
like, I can outrun him.
Listener, just picture it in your mind's eye. Me being very confident about beating Braun Strowman in a foot race.
As he sits back and says it. Let's jump back to the middle of Raw. Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, another amazing segment. Obviously, after the end of this segment, where finally Otis snaps on Sami because he thinks that Sami intentionally pushed Maxine off of the ring apron onto the floor, injuring her and Tozawa. He snaps, drops Sami to where go ahead.
If we took this segment out of time and went back 5 years and dropped it into a Raw, we'd be like, that was the segment of the year, right? Like it just goes to show like how much better WWE is that they're giving us several good segments a show. This segment was tremendous.
It was really
They
good.
even made it look like you were going to get what you wanted, and then they pulled it back.
Yeah.
Snatched it back from you. Nope, not yet.
No. We ain't
yet,
flipping
Edward.
on this. We ain't flipping on this. I mean, I was literally like, is this good? It's getting ready to happen, right? Yeah. I mean, literally like edging up to the edge of my seat where, okay, this is it.
Jason,
This
you
is
can
it.
say not yet, N-word.
Not yet, nigga.
That's what they said to us. Thank you.
Surprise, nigga. I was like, son of a bitch, they got me again. But no.
I'll take your candy, give it back, and then I'll snatch it again.
But no, you make a great point about if this was in the Vince era and we had this segment, this
You'd be like,
segment
fuck,
would
that was really good.
because it really would have stood out. This was a part of really 2 or 3 really well done segments for SmackDown and Raw on Monday night.
In front of a crowd, in front of a hot crowd.
And that was invested into it,
Yeah.
wanting Otis to flip.
For sure.
It was like, what's getting ready to happen? I'm like,
They
what's
want
getting
to
ready
see
to
it.
happen?
Yeah.
Chad got backstage, still not necessarily giving all the love to Alpha Academy, but, in his own little warped heel mind, Maxine, you did this, you stayed on the ground longer because you were hurt. Great job of, reeling him in, gave Tozawa a little props. Otis is going to be the guy that's going to go over to Glasgow with.
Gable's just tremendous.
Yeah, it's been. I'll just say this.
Sami Zayn is the perfect babyface for it.
If Chad Gable's contract is expiring or is expired and they're not going to re-sign him, and this is one of the last times we see Chad Gable, this is a hell of a way for him to close the door on WWE if he's not coming back. If he is, which I hope so, maybe he beats Sami for the Intercontinental Championship. That might be the way to keep him around. I hope that's not the case because I think there's still story to tell with him and the Creeds.
I mean, now they've kind of, whetted our appetite for Gable versus Gunther sometime down the line for maybe something bigger, like that would, like, they kind of, like, I associate them two in my head together. Like, they're kind of rivals, even though Gunther beat them every time. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, this is Chad Gable's doing the best work of his career, and I don't really see him going anywhere. But yeah, this storyline is a lot of fun.
Braun Breaker and Adam Pearce. We'll talk about Braun back to back. Adam Pearce, obviously, none too pleased with the antics of Braun Breaker. Braun is blaming Adam Pearce in perfect heel fashion. this is what happens when you leave me out of the King of the Ring, and now everybody is going to suffer. Ricochet in the crosshairs of Monday night's suffering. I thought this was a pretty good match. The spot with Braun running the ropes to do a Frankensteiner off the top rope is going to just be on his highlight reel as he goes up the card. Obviously, Braun Breaker defeats Ricochet in a solid match. Post-match, as Braun Breaker is getting ready to really put the bricks to Ricochet, Ilya Dragunov comes out to make the save. They will be wrestling next week. Dragunov versus Braun Breaker. Obviously, if you are a regular watcher of NXT, we just got off of that program, so now that program is going to pick back up onto the main roster. Hopefully, they at least acknowledge the fact that they were in an NXT program, and that's going to come up to the main roster. I think they will, but neither here nor there. I thought this was another solid match for Braun Breaker, showing his athleticism, showing his strength, just a freaking a beast in the ring. Ricochet, unfortunately, just kind of is in that spot. I think he's just hit the ceiling with WWE. I'm not saying he's going to AEW because obviously his contract is coming up too. If he stays, great. His fiance is there. It makes all the sense in the world. If he leaves, he might not wrestle as much, but he might move up the card. Neither here nor there. I thought Ricochet played his spot well. Dragunov comes in to make the save, so that's going to elevate him a smidge. And Braun, and now obviously Ilya will be wrestling next week. I think that's going to be must-see TV.
Zach?
Yeah, I've done everything right, nothing wrong with Braun Breaker so far. Just excellent stuff. And he is definitely a explosive dude, and he's very fun to watch. And the crowd's obviously into him. Like, they're doing, like, the bulldogs, like, the barking and shit. It's good.
Yep, everything right, nothing wrong. What was next?
Kiana James has her Raw debut. She beats Natalya. Not a huge surprise, obviously, with Kiana James making her debut. Natty, another one, maybe on the way out the door, maybe on the way to stay. She's a perfect person to put Kiana James over, which she does. Karrion Kross and New Day cross paths again and backstage. Karrion Kross telling Xavier Woods, you won't have to wait too long to free yourself from Kofi Kingston, which ultimately leads to a match where AOP defeats the New Day. At a certain point, Kofi Kingston is being distracted by Karrion Kross outside the ring as Xavier Woods goes to make the tag. Kofi's not in the ring as he's trying to make the tag, which ultimately leads to the finish. So I guess this is not over just yet. Dissension in the New Day, it's something for the New Day to do, I guess, at this point, because God knows as a team they've done everything. Kofi's reached the top of the mountain as a world champion. I think Xavier Woods as King of the Ring has probably hit his ceiling. So at this point, I'm not sure what more you can do with New Day minus bringing Big E back, which looks less and less likely as time progresses. So
that looks pretty doubtful. Just do something with him.
I guess this is it. Is Kofi and
maybe Xavier Woods will be a tremendous heel.
Three-Beard, is Xavier Woods as a heel give you interest at all?
Nah.
I mean, Final Testament does sound like it's talking about end times, the name Final Testament, and nothing feels more apocalyptic than Karrion Kross having a black friend. So, I mean, I think that this will be Jesus. This is definitely like a sign of the end, because that sounds pretty unrealistic, like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in Revelations.
Jesus.
I have no words. No.
What if I was gonna make a point and say, what if Xavier Woods goes to NXT and he's like Baron Corbin down there, where he just makes everybody better?
Yeah, I mean,
and then Bill just says that. So, is this the line for the bathroom? Yeah, fuck me, right?
Be pretty out of place for Xavier Woods to join Final Testament, but that would be a sign of the apocalypse.
Please, God. I don't want to die yet. I have traveling to do. Let Xavier and Kofi stay together.
I do picture hell as Xavier Woods following me around with that fucking trombone. That sounds fucking terrible. Like trying to cut promos behind me. as I burn
Oh,
with Jimmy
shit.
Snuka.
Hey, little Bill. Hey, little Bill. Burr, 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 burr.
What's next?
You said Jimmy Snuka. You ain't shit.
Down there in hell with Jimmy Snuka.
Oh, my God. Braun beats Carlito is what it is. That's where the beatdown of Braun happens. Jade and Bianca win by disqualification as Alba Fire and Isla Dawn attack the tag champs. I guess this is one way to put the champs over, is to have the division just try to beat them down. Unfortunately, it's not going to matter. You know how this is going to work. I guess my question is the team that defeats Bianca and Jade currently together as it stands? Yes or no?
Oh, that's a really great question. I would say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you guys to go further than that.
Yeah, don't put me on the spot to say who.
You both said yeah. Vice, you agreed.
Oh, no, I just said it was a good question. I was just agreeing with
Oh,
Bill.
okay.
I have no idea. I'd almost just flip a coin because of the way that division's been presented. But I feel like Bianca and Jade might just have a nice little run with these and try to like reestablish them. And I think they might actually have like maybe another kind of like real deal star power team beat them. I don't know who that would be, but I don't know, something like Charlotte coming back and pairing with somebody, Charlotte Becky or something. I have no idea.
Yeah,
but
Okay, all right. No, I was just curious because I was thinking to myself, you know, I'm with you. I think they're just going to be going to hold the titles for a while. It's just going to take some.
I think when they lose, it'll have more to do with them turning on each other or some kind of angle than it will being
Who's
oh yeah, because that's what WWE does.
Yeah, some powerhouse tag team that's going to take them out, like Austin and Hunter or something.
Right. Stop. No, stop it. We don't have good black women tag teams in WWE. I was about to say, you got two of them right there. Naomi's the third. That's really it. Am I missing a black woman wrestler in WWE?
I didn't make that joke on the mic for a reason.
I'll speak on that shit. Let's say, unless we get trios titles, this is what we got. Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre backstage, building up for their match for Clash of the Castle. Drew just, once again, doing the Lord's work. I almost wish he wins this match, but I don't. A part of me doesn't. I want to see Drew go through the angst of just not winning the title, or in this case, he wins it and holds it for 5 minutes and then costs it up to Damian Priest. He definitely makes note of that, how Damian Priest wins the title versus, Drew McIntyre, grinding his way through this. I thought this was another really good backstage segment. Both guys making the other guy look good. Jey Uso apparently being the first to put his name into the Money in the Bank. I don't necessarily mind Jey Uso at least being in it. I'm not sure if he should win it. I don't necessarily mind him being in it. Crowd definitely loves Jay, and I think he would be somebody that could use the benefit of being in the Money in the Bank ladder match. It's just another check mark on his road to ultimately being truly main event Jey Uso. I'll go with Bill first, and then we can kick it to Zach. Do you think Jey Uso has a legitimate chance to win Money in the Bank?
Yeah.
Are you talking yourself into it?
That would be really boring to me, but I mean, yeah, I could see them putting it on him. What about you, Zach?
I can see it happening. I don't know that I would do it, but I can definitely see it happening. I mean, right now he's like with, injuries. He's the number one babyface on that brand right now. So I can definitely see them doing it.
I wouldn't necessarily mind it. I think as we get more names out there, I think we would probably find one like Tiffany Stratton was one that we all just kind of was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense.
I think Zach said last week Braun Breaker, and I was like, that feels badass.
I think this would be a way to at least have him in not even a tournament, but a tournament style where he'll win a qualifying match. You put him in the Money in the Bank, and then even if he doesn't win, it'll be his first real big time exposure on the main roster in a match like that. He could,
Jay
get
just
over.
Jay just is the not as exciting of a choice as it could be, as I'm hoping for in this new era, quote unquote.
True story.
You know who is not going to win it? It's not going to be Brock Lesnar, who wasn't even booked for the match. We know that.
Yes, Brock Lesnar would never just enter the Money in the Bank and end up winning it. Austin Theory did that
Without
one year,
Facebook
too.
and all.
I was getting ready to say.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, guys, he did that. I say that was the good old Vince era. EO attacks Lyra Valkyria backstage. Talked about AOP and New Day.
Mm-hmm.
Alba Fire and Isla Dawn cut a promo, basically not saying they're not going to wait anymore. They're going to take their spot against Jade and Bianca. Good luck with that. Then you had the main event.
That'll be a Clash at the Castle, right? They're letting those UK chicks fight at Clash at the Castle.
I would assume so, yeah. Ray versus Damian Priest in the main event. Obviously, Damian Priest goes over, but Drew McIntyre attacks him post-match, building up to their Clash at the Castle match. I thought the Ray Damian Priest match was good. The post-match attack was even better. Like I said, just a huge fan of Drew McIntyre right now. I don't think anything he could do in my eyes is wrong unless he, kicks a puppy or, lights his wife on fire, some crazy shit like that.
It's been a while since we've seen a heel-on-heel title match that I can remember in WWE. It's an interesting dynamic.
In kayfabe style, it is heel on heel. When they take their ass over to Scotland, Drew McIntyre is going to be the babyface.
I mean, that's true. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I can't wait for this. I'm really excited for this Scotland show. I really like the European shows, the time slot, but also the vibe. Like WWE comes even just to Portland a couple times a year. They haven't got like pay-per-views at least in a while, but they're here. Like if you miss them, they're gonna be back in a few months. But like when they go over there, those fans might be seeing it for the first time in their fucking lives, and they're into it. So it makes the show that much better.
We said it on this podcast. Just stop doing pay-per-views in the States. Just do all the pay-per-views out of town if they're going to be this fucking crazy. And guess what? It's worked. France was only like 2 weeks ago. Like, we're always on to the next thing, but that was really only like 2 weeks ago. We were like, holy fucking shit, what a crowd.
Yeah, they're losing their goddamn minds.
And it's an afternoon show, like Zach said. Look, fucking A, man. Give it to me.
Just started noon. That's all I asked. Noon Central Standard Time is a perfect spot.
Kids' pajamas. Fucking stuffing socks.
Jason's shaving. Where's the laptop?
Yeah, so, good week at WWE television.
For sure.
Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
2 beer, what's a 2 count?
2 count, we can talk a little AEW. The Collision we don't have to talk too much about, but it did have a fantastic main event and a good opening match. Roderick Strong versus Lio Rush. I could watch these guys wrestle 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
Just really great. Lio Rush, very on-again, off-again career, bounces around a lot, but he's always a pleasure to watch. And he's just super fast, and his style is just different than even other like small guys. So this was cool, but Roddy ended up winning with an into heartache. This was putting him over because, of course, he was wrestling for the world title on Wednesday. So, of course, he's going to go over.
Mm-hmm.
Look, a lot of stuff happened in the middle. A lot of it is kind of relevant to Dynamite, so we really don't need to mention it. And the stuff that isn't relevant doesn't fucking matter anyway. It's just matches. It's like, it's fine. I like watching wrestling just to watch wrestling, but like, I don't know, we don't really need to talk about Shane Taylor Promotions versus West Coast Wrecking Crew. Like, we don't have to fucking talk about it. It's fine.
Hey, man. Hey, wait a minute, man. Come on. West Coast Wrecking Crew, granted, just got squashed by Shane Taylor Productions, which doesn't make them look very good. But in the grand scheme of things, they are a pretty good tag team, okay? I like them.
They are. I'm not saying I like the wrestling for the wrestling. But, it's like, I feel like that's just kind of, what's going to happen. They're on there to promote like Forbidden Door because they're New Japan.
Hey,
guys,
it's like I said at the beginning of the podcast. I got mixed emotions.
I guess for me watching that and watching them not getting squashed, but just handily defeated and then just beat down after the match. It's like, God damn, man, my boys just can't cut a break in this motherfucker. Can't win the titles, go on Collision, getting their ass kicked. I mean, damn, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I feel you because they're a good team and they're good wrestlers. But yeah, like there was like Claudio versus John Morrison. Like, what year is it?
Right.
Like it's fine, but it's fine. And like, they had a good match and everything, but it's like it's not really doing anything further like storylines or garner interest like in the product. But what is garnering interest in the product is fucking Will Ospreay. He's the biggest star in the company, and he gets these awesome reactions from the crowd. And this is babyface on babyface. Will Ospreay versus Kyle O'Reilly. I don't think the crowd was into it, but it wasn't like, I feel like this might have benefited from being in front of like, a better crowd, right? I don't know where they were, but it wasn't like this was like an over-the-top crowd. Whenever we talk about the crowd elevating things, I think some other Will Ospreay matches have been much more elevated by the crowd. Anyway, these guys had an awesome match, as you would expect. Will Ospreay won, as you would expect. But just a really fun TV main event, right? This is the kind of shit that we wanted whenever Will Ospreay signed, was him wrestling a bunch of guys that he hasn't wrestled before, or that we haven't seen at least on a weekly basis, and we're getting it, and it's great.
There was a move in this match where I think like Kyle O'Reilly swept the leg, and then Will Ospreay took the move, kipped up, and then like did a insecurity, counter move to their shit. I was like, now see, just when I think I've seen everything or every counter Will Ospreay's done, now that he's doing this shit, I'm like, I'll get to the MJF segment when he's, talking about him being the best right now. This is when Will Ospreay continuously elevates other guys and then innovates in the ring. It's just, he is the man right now. It's hard for me to say otherwise that anybody else is until you show me that he's not the guy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we can actually go into that because MJF did open up Dynamite. And I said Ospreay's the biggest star in the company. It's not just the shiny new toy thing. People love him. His matches are very dynamic, but MJF really is the most like established. I feel like he gets big reactions. He was a recent champion, and people are really into him and his return. It was interesting whenever he came out because, of course, he is super over. He is very much a babyface in his current incarnation, and he left a babyface and he's returning as a babyface. But he starts running down a bunch of other babyfaces, which is not a character at all. So I do appreciate the fact that it is still very much MJF, but it's awkward whenever he's big babyface getting great reactions, and then he runs down Okada. He's not a babyface, but people fucking love Okada, right? They don't want to boo Okada. He runs down Swerve. He runs down Will Ospreay. They love all of those people. So it does make it a little bit awkward because they also love MJF. So I thought that part was interesting. But out of left field for me, but it was funny because MJF had just said they're probably going to make me wrestle some Japanese or Mexican dude on Forbidden Door. And Roosh comes out, and MJF does a better job of getting Roosh over than anyone in the company has so far. Talking him up as a legitimate star, sold out buildings in Mexico, all true. Former ROH champion, all true. Really, really putting this guy over. Of course, I do think he's going to win at Forbidden Door. Spoiler alert for my predictions coming up. But, it was funny. Put him over, and then he came back and ran him down, much like MJF does. But this was a fun opening segment for Dynamite.
I was really pretty interested to hear where you guys fell on this MJF promo because I was extremely sour on it. Extremely. Hold on a second. My kid's FaceTiming. Go ahead.
No, I'll piggyback on that because I was just getting ready to say I wasn't sour on it, but I just thought this was a bunch of flawed logic in the case of MJF, which is kind of weird because MJF usually is on point when he points out, other people's weaknesses, negatives, whatever you want to call it. The Okada rundown, it is what it is. I mean, I remember a time when MJF wasn't, shredded like he is right now, so let's everybody calm down with that. When he was talking about Swerve and the Mogul Embassy turned on him, we just talked about the Pinnacle. I mean, the Pinnacle didn't even turn on, MJF. I can't even remember how the Pinnacle broke up. So, I mean, let's slow down on talking about, the Pinnacle or the Mogul MC turn on Swerve, and that makes him look bad. You need to, you were supposed to be this mogul, and you need to go back to business school for speaking. Okay, it's not like Swerve speaks poorly, number one, and two, he's a pretty good promo. So I mean, that kind of missed the mark there. And then he goes to Will Ospreay, and I beat this guy, I beat that guy. I'm the GOAT right now. I just kind of said it earlier. Even when MJF was actively wrestling, he was having good matches. Will Ospreay was having transcendent matches, and I think that's where, as much as I like MJF, where he was the chicken shit heel champion and then transformed into Kenny Omega, was like the first big match that we were all like, oh shit, MJF Kenny Omega on free TV, this is gonna be the shit, and it was. But Will Ospreay did it better. So let's not step here and, I get MJF is coming back to mark the territory. I get it. Piss on all the trees, dump on the lawns. I get it. Just this didn't hit the mark for me because of the logic of the promo. All of the things he said, it was classic MJF, and I agree with you, Three Beer. Him going after two of the bigger baby faces didn't get that big reaction that we're used to seeing because fans didn't know what to do. Guys like Swerve. Guys love fucking Will Ospreay. Guys love MJF. So at this point, it's like, you're trying to get this reaction, but fans don't want to react because they're torn. Even when he was running down Ospreay, there were still bruv chants, small ones, but there were still those chants out there. So for me, the logic was the biggest problem I had with this. This was classic MJF. Roosh coming out, like you said, God bless him. I hate the fact that he's going to be the first victim of MJF. Roosh deserves a little better, but it just kind of makes me feel like that Roosh's DOA from coming back. Nice little Continental Classic run, but yeah, you can go back to ROH at this point. Yeah, it's neither. He deserves better, but like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit.
I don't know, man. At least in that regard, like, just because we think he's going to lose, I think they'll have a hell of a match. And wrestling, legitimately the biggest star in the company, I mean, I don't think that's bad. I think this is great exposure for Roosh.
No, I'm not disagreeing that the match itself will not be good. I expect it to be a physical, hard-hitting match to where Roosh will be able to show that MJF is back. He's healthy. Roosh is going to throw this dude around. He's going to choke him with cables the whole 9 yards. It's going to be physical. So in that sense, yeah, having Roosh across from MJF isn't going to be the worst thing in the world. What I've always been told before is the follow-up. Okay, so now Roosh loses a tough match to MJF, then what? That's all I'm saying. It sounds, I get what you're saying.
They're not always good with that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but then the what next part of it is always feels like it's the problem. KOR, Kyle O'Reilly, I love the fact that he's always wrestling, but then when push comes to shove, you know how Kyle O'Reilly is going to end up. Love the Will Ospreay match. I thought it was one of the best matches of the weekend. But you know what was going to happen. And that's where I'm just kind of like, okay, this is great. We got a great match out of it. Ospreay's supposed to retain. But now what do you do with Kyle O'Reilly? Because now we're just running him into this brick wall continuously over and over again. Go ahead.
Dude, Rush and MJF, that match is going to be stiffer than when my Pornhub algorithm gets it right. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Zach? Zach knows what I mean.
And you gotta log in though, because like if you're in private browsing, it's always like.
See, this guy this guy gets it.
It's got the same videos. Yeah, you gotta log in, and then they really know what you're into.
On those days when they get it right, you're just like, well, I know what I'm doing every time I go take a shit.
How far?
You don't have to like spend 11 minutes looking for that perfect video from 2003 that you downloaded on Kazaa.
Yeah, I remember that one.
It's all Korean, and they're all begging for it.
Jesus
Oh
Christ.
my god!
How far did you guys get past MJF?
We filibustered until you got back.
Okay, so the other thing about him getting back and just running down the guys that kind of had established themselves while he was gone is because that none of it really rang true. It's like Okada doesn't look bad. Like, making fun of him for not having a gym membership doesn't make any sense. Talking about Swerve being...
Body shaming is not babyface shit.
Yeah, and talking about Swerve Strickland not being able to cut a promo or saying they missed public speaking skills, that doesn't ring true either. It just... And it's like, why... That doesn't... That really feels like burying to me. And I may be a mark, and I may be getting worked, and maybe this is the idea, but... And then to make that joke about Forbidden Door, like, as an AEW sexual, like, I was like, hey, man. I was like, we're trying to convince everybody that Forbidden Door is cool, and there's a bunch of reasons why people could look at it and be like, this is just kind of random, and it's not really my cup of tea. They don't really tell stories. And a lot of people who are negative about Forbidden Door, their view on it is, oh, so I'm going to watch MJF wrestle some random Japanese or Mexican guy, and then MJF said it. Why don't you put over Forbidden Door? I don't get it. It's one of those things that Punk said when he did that interview with Ariel Helwani. He's like, those guys over there, they're catering to like a very niche group. They're not actually trying to sell tickets. They're not trying to make money. They're trying to be cool to the internet crowd. And the internet crowd's a really small amount of people that we sell tickets to. I don't know. I did not like the promo. I thought, and then when he started fucking with Roosh, I was like, what the fuck, man? And then he put over Roosh big, and I was like, okay, thank you for putting somebody over.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
Okay. Then that makes me feel more validated than what I said.
Similar.
Is that exactly what you said?
Basically, yeah.
No, my kid is at her grandma's all week, and I haven't FaceTimed her in a couple days, so no, it was very wholesome in there. And then I come back out to Bo talking about screaming Korean chicks. No, I'm glad to hear that you had the exact same thing to say, because I was watching it this morning and I was like, what the fuck? But yeah,
No, I didn't like the running down of Forbidden Door either. Forbidden Door to me is one of my favorite pay-per-views, just because it's one of the few times where you can get a bunch of different promotions under one umbrella and have, dream matches, quote unquote, or, matches you wouldn't have thought before. Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy, I wouldn't have thought of until Forbidden Door came around. That was arguably one of the matches of the night. So
yeah, it was.
In that scenario, I wish he wouldn't have done that. But ultimately, I don't look at MJF as a babyface. I just look at MJF as MJF. He is who he is. And like Zach said, nothing about him has changed. It's just he went after guys like you said, are big baby faces, and the crowd just didn't know how to react. And it's not one of the best MJF's promos. It's not one of the worst. It was just weird to see how the crowd was not reacting the way you would think. He can still do that, like, acerbic, like, dick-headed thing that he does. But just do it on heels. It ain't that hard.
Yeah, that part was weird. It is funny that there's nothing forbidden about this match either. Roosh is an AEW star. He's just Mexican.
Yeah, I know. Like, I didn't even... It didn't occur to me that this was going to be the Forbidden Door match, but I guess it is. Like, that
doesn't make sense.
That never even crossed my mind.
That doesn't make sense. Then, what? Okay, whatever. I hope that's not the Forbidden Door match. If it is, then that kind of, like I said, it...
Be honest. When Roosh's music hit, did you know who it was?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't. I was like,
they were
I
talking.
didn't know the music, but I knew the visual, like the bull.
No, they had talked about this leading up to. Rush had called out MJF.
On the internet?
No, it was a vignette on either Rampage or Collision where he was I'm coming.
There you go.
then that's not as bad, I guess. If they did try to set it up somehow.
Yeah, they set it up. It's just it's not random. It's just once again, Rush has zero chance of beating MJF. You just at that point, I just want to see MJF take some bumps, make Rush look as good as possible, and then have MJF win.
Next we had four-way AEW International Title #1 contender match, which is quite a mouthful, but this was a pretty star-studded lineup. And if we would have had go from least to most as far as early predictions on this match, I don't think it would have fell the way that it actually fell, but I'm very pleasantly surprised that it did. We had freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Jay Lethal, and Ray Phoenix. And lots of big spots, four-way match. Not a ton of time. There's a commercial break in between, and I didn't watch the feed. I didn't watch the fight feed, so it felt kind of broken up. Not a ton of time, but Ray Phoenix rolled up Jay Lethal in a cradle whenever Jay Lethal tried to give him a figure four. But there was a lot of fun spots in this match, and Ray Phoenix is the #1 contender for Will Ospreay, which sign me up.
Yeah, that is the guy that you want to see win that match, and that is the match that you want to see. This match was cool. I wish they would have gotten more time. Jay Lethal kind of didn't belong,
Once he came out, I was like, well, he's getting ready to lose.
Well, it was like the JV guy coming up to get a couple of minutes.
See, that's okay.
They should have given
Jay
that
Lethal the JV guy in this scenario. That's
because of the way because he's in a stable with Jeff Jarrett and Satnam Singh,
and that's his fault.
The Bang Bang Scissor
It's
Dewdrop
like
Baba Tunde
who...
Satnam Singh gang.
And if you don't know.
It's more like they pulled the guy who still wears his Letterman jacket to the bar 20 years later in to throw the touchdown, in the last game of the high school championships. That's more like Jay Lethal's older than all these. Actually, he's probably not much older. But
leave Al Bundy out of this, dude. I was about to say, Al Bundy ain't got nothing to do with this.
He went to Polk High and he scored 4 touchdowns in one game. He's a fucking legend.
That's a much better reference. The Al Bundy thing is much funnier.
They should have given the spot to Boulder.
He got it all. I was about to say on what was that? Collision, I think. Yeah, it was Collision.
Yeah,
Iron Savages, cut a promo, whatever. Kill Switch crushed them all. It's like, goddamn.
The most random fucking Mad Libs ass segment ever. It's like they put a bunch of wrestlers in a fucking bingo roller and they just fucking spun around. They're like Kill Switch, Iron Savages, backstage.
Tony Khan's so rich he actually bought a particle collider just to book AEW Collision and Rampage, so he didn't have to think about it.
And he just does monster lines on top of it.
It's like you fed a bunch of TNA impacts into AI and they wrote that segment.
I will say this. Ray Phoenix and Will Ospreay is a fresh match, and it's a match that I'm looking forward to. The only thing is if Will retains, I don't know if it's a booking problem, but it feels like it's a bit of a title versus title thing. If it's not going to be title versus title, I don't know if you can really have a definitive winner if it's Swerve and Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door and they're both champions. That's just me. If you're going to take the title, go ahead.
With Ray, he is a former international champion, but he wasn't supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So maybe this is a way to give Ospreay a loss, and that would put Ray Phoenix over huge and give him a title. I don't expect that, though.
Yeah, I don't expect it either.
Yeah, just the way that it's all been. But, that would be cool. I am more and more on the train. Early on, I was on the record of don't beat Will Ospreay until you put the AEW title on him. I really think that Swerve beating Ospreay would be kind of awesome for Swerve and also for Ospreay's like story in AEW. I'm more and more on that train. Doing this match this early just kind of reinforces the fact that I think that Ospreay's going to lose whenever they do it. So it's forbidden.
Okay.
That's where I'm at this week.
All right. Yeah, I card subject to change.
Yeah. But Orange is still in the ring after this. Don Callis and Trip Beretta came out. Chris Statlander jumped in and kind of like was begging Orange off, but then she punched Orange, who like kind of sold the punch.
Yep.
Like he went down on one knee, but he didn't like fully sell it. And Chris Statlander's like twice his size. Like she's like a big, strong woman, and thought he could have sold the punch more. But Willow Nightingale came out and made the save or whatever. Stokely Hathaway jumped on Chris Statlander's back, which is fucking hilarious. They walked out. Like, he's so good, man. He's underrated as far as, we talk about Don Callis and these guys. He really elevates the segments that he's in.
He's going to have a long career.
I just hope that they use Stokely. That we've seen him in spots like the Firm back in the day when the Firm was coming, put together. Stokely was the mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? We've seen him in spots like that. Now he's Chris Statlander's mouthpiece. Just keep them together and just let them cook. That's all I ask. Hell, I'm coming around on Chris Statlander being a heel at this point. Shit.
We had the first of 4 learning tree segments.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Jericho pulled up, got out of an SUV, and spoke to the driver, saying, as someone who's held a driver's license for more than 30 years and as a former 8-time champion, gave him like some driving tips. And then talked to the cameraman and said, as someone who has been in front of the camera for more than 30 years, I think I know about how to go behind the camera. Very just very disconnected, over the top.
That should be me walking away.
Out of touch character. I noticed he was very loud, and like then Taz was like, "Why is he yelling?" And I was like, "That's what I was thinking."
Oh,
this was just a comedy segment, and it was like kind of grating, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, like that's like it's entirely what it's intended to be, is to be like grating and annoying. I was like, so like he's kind of fucking getting it over. He's kind of doing it.
Yes.
I'm like, God damn it! I was like, Jericho just fucking do this again. And also, I love. We'll talk more about it because there's a few more segments, but this is the first of many.
You ain't even lying, dog. I was just like, dude, again? God damn. And it don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm still on the con portion of the learning tree gimmick. But I will say this. At the end of the 4 times they did come out, there was a payoff. Private Party next week on TV Time establishes some reason that they were on TV, just not to be annoying or to, feed into the Chris Jericho wants to be on TV narrative. There was a payoff. Now, granted, it took 2 hours to get to that payoff, but we got the payoff.
There was a lot of segments, but I will say, LOL, the learning tree is funny. I'm a fan.
Oh, yeah.
Hard
and,
pass.
You mentioned that tag team was going to be on Learning Tree next week. Don't you mean Public Party? Parties are a lot more fun when there's more people.
It's like, son of a bitch, I hate you.
He's right.
He is right. That part I will concede, yes.
I love that, like, Brian Keith is, like, deadly serious, and Big Bill and Jericho are, like, just fucking so all in with this. Jericho congratulates Daddy Magic on taking his position basically as like a full-time Rampage announcer, because that was like what Jericho was doing.
Right.
And he like congratulates him, and he tells him, remember to lift your head and enunciate. And he's like, what? He's like, and then Big Bill says, enunciate. And then fucking Daddy Magic just turns to him and said, "Why don't you just eat my ass?" He's like, "Oh, you got me." And like Big Bill was like super into it. Yeah, this is fun shit.
I also like the name Bad Apple for Brian Keith. Bad Apple Brian Keith is a pretty good wrestling name.
Really?
Better do something with that fool because he's gonna be eating a lot of pills for these two jokers. I'll say that much.
Hey, he's on TV.
That's true.
I could be on
He's
TV.
got a character.
I could be on TV too, just not playing a
Just
job
because
role.
you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
Yeah, it's not like he's Ricochet or anything.
I mean, what was next?
Cold-blooded.
There was a Willow promo, just talking, about her losing the title. Chris Daniels came out, so they're going to crown the new TNT champion in a ladder match. There's some qualifying matches that are going to happen starting right now, which was Mark Briscoe versus Brian Cage. 1 second, got to sneak. Muted politely. And Mark Briscoe, ROH World Champion, came out versus Brian Cage, and I was like, both of these guys would be super fun to see in a ladder match for the TNT title. So I was very invested in this. I thought it was very cool. Also, that would be I think Cage would be a fun contender for the ROH World Championship. So if he beat Mark Briscoe, not only would he be in a ladder match, but then it would set up an ROH match, which I probably also wouldn't watch. But it sounds very fun.
But still.
But Mark Briscoe won. Yeah. Mark Briscoe won. And yeah, he is just a bigger star. But backstage, Jack Perry cut a promo on Mark Briscoe. And I really do think he's saying he's going to be the next TNT champion. I really do think that's probably the case.
Yeah.
Early prediction.
Yes, Jack Perry's going to win that thing. He is destined for it. I'm on record as being, I love Mark Briscoe. He was particularly awesome at that match at Dynasty. But man, I am a Brian Cage mark. I think that he is fucking awesome. And that as much as I like him with Gates of Agony, Cage of Agony, ain't it. That's a singles guy.
I agree with everything what Three Beer was saying leading up to the match. I kind of wish that they, Briscoe would have had a different opponent. Cage had a different opponent. They both would have been in the ladder match and just let them, do some crazy ass spots. I was a little surprised, honestly.
I thought it's going to be star-studded.
No, I'm not saying it's not. I was just surprised that the ROH champion was in the match to begin with, and then. I guess a little more surprised that Brian Cage, didn't pull the upset or whatever the case may be because, you'd have future plans laid out for Brian Cage. But I guess, it is what it is. I'm not mad. It just, I'm just surprised. That's all.
All right. So next we had a segment with Samoa Joe and Hook, where the premier athletes are back there, basically mocking them, egging on Hook. Nothing to really say here except how do you guys feel about Samoa Joe and Hook with maybe even the addition of Shibata as like a trio? I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that it seems like they're booking Hook in like a search for a father figure when his dad's actually on the TV show. It's like so Hook's got a new stepdad, like it was Jericho, and now it's fucking Joe.
His dad can't wrestle, so like it has to have like a surrogate wrestling father.
Yeah, absentee wrestling father.
I'd never thought of that until you said that, and that you hit the nail on the head. That is so apropos.
That is so fucked up.
But it's so true. It's so true. It's literally you've had the last two like angles, whatever you want to call it, programs. You've had somebody next to Hook, guiding him through, these shark-infested waters, and now it's Joe. I like Joe and Hook together. Shibata, them as a trio could work. Maybe you can have them, make a run at the trios titles if you wanted to go that route. I'll play the wait and see game for this. The premier athletes don't do anything for me. I even forgot these motherfuckers were on the roster. Next thing you know, they're popping up like,
The Samoan jungle Shibatas.
Oh, no.
I thought you were going to throw him into the Babatunde.
The Bang Bang Scissor Dewdrop Babatunde Satnam Singh Samoan Joan Samoan shit.
You have
Unprofessional bullshit.
you have no idea how high you're setting the bar.
I know, man.
I mean, that motherfucker was like, he's all so close. Oh,
You can't see this, but in real life, Bill was like closing his eyes and leaning back,
It was the
so we know he really meant it.
The
It's like
Samoan
before
jungle wrestlers.
it's like before he's about to take a 4-foot putt, he really closed his eyes, thought about it, and committed.
They're not part of that bit. It's too hard.
We had the Acclaimed, speaking of scissoring, come out. And they started.
Fuck, I should have waited to add them. Just straight up the Acclaimed.
Started cutting a rap on the Elite until they cut their microphones. I like the rap. I don't know that I need to see the Acclaimed versus the Elite, or that I need to see Daddy Ass in the same ring as Okada. But I think we're going to see it.
Yeah, that does the opposite of nothing for me. That does something for me very, very bad. Like, I do not like the idea of Okada having to sell for Billy Gunn. And what would really tickle me if this was just the end of the angle, like the Young Bucks cut their mics and then we never have to see him again. that would be the best ending to this angle.
Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, okay, so I'll do my weekly defending of the Acclaimed
I
here.
don't want anybody to lose their job.
But
within reason.
No, they're just gonna be like, hey, no more raps. You're just mid card. And Bill's over here shrugging like, yeah.
Man, the raps are the best part.
I'll say that
They're great. They can jerk curtains all across the country.
if there's
careful.
Yeah, right. If there's any thought of the Acclaimed trying to become AEW champions or make them relevant or whatever verbiage you want to use in that sentence, this is a way to do it. The Bucks, the Elite, they're hot as the top heel faction in AEW, and anything you would put close to it should get that rub. I'm not going to sit up here and say that the Acclaimed should beat the Bucks, but the Acclaimed have been on ice for a very, very long time. It's time for them to get off of that ice cube and at least get into some tag team matches. This feels like the way to do it.
They just had the trios titles for like 3 months.
No, that's not what I said. Okay, y'all talking about Okada and Billy Gunn. I'm not even thinking about them two. I'm talking Acclaimed.
Oh, you're just talking about as a tag team?
As a tag team.
Oh, I see.
What's next?
Next, 8-man match, Blackpool Combat Club versus Team CMLL, Esfinge, Magnus, Rugado, and Volador Jr.
Well played.
Volador Jr. is a lot of... What's that?
Well played.
Volador Jr. is a lot of fun. This is a returning Wheeler, Utah. So he was back.
Little brother!
He ended up getting the pin. This is just something that was just there. I know it's kind of promoting Forbidden Door, but I don't know like that it's like setting anything up specifically for Forbidden Door. And I know maybe it's just a thing where it's like part of the partnership where you're like, hey, we want some of our guys on your TV, like we're doing this pay-per-view and we're lending you some talent. We need to get some of our guys on TV. But with AEW, they got a huge roster already. There's 4 AEW guys they could have muscled, but they're paying out of their pockets. I don't know. It is, but Volador Jr., like I said, a lot of fun. I like watching him. But yeah, I don't know if this did much for anybody except maybe Wheeler Yuta because he got a pin. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it was all about Wheeler Yuta's return. I don't know about you guys. He looked forged to me.
Well, he had 6 months to get the forging done.
He
so
was
I mean,
forging and forging. Maybe he's just fully forged.
I waited patiently. I was like, okay, anytime.
when you have 4 guys that are like nominally on your product sometimes, like this Team CMLL guys are, but like you don't take the time to really introduce any of them. I have a wrestling podcast. I watch a lot of AEW television. It's like I couldn't have named those 4 guys that were in this match like Zach just did. Like I've heard of them all, but I couldn't have just rattled them off because there's
better than me. I haven't heard of a couple of these guys, but that's just me.
I only know it because I watched the show today. But I mean, it's too many guys too quick and nothing sticks.
Well, I think part of that, I'll piggyback off of what you were saying. There was that CMLL / Blackpool Combat Club angle that they were doing a while ago. This is when Punk was still around, and then for whatever reason, it stopped.
Yeah, they did wrestle in Mexico. Like Blackpool Combat Club went down to CMLL and wrestled on their show.
And let me also say that, like, I'm sure that AEW's defense of this would be like, hey, listen, these are guys that we want to continue using, and we need to get them reps on the AEW television so that they get it all down. There's that whole part of the production also. And who better to have them in the match with, and who more do you want to see them fight if they're going to fight than the Blackpool Combat Club? So in that respect, it's like I get it.
Yeah.
It's just, nothing stuck for me as a weekly viewer.
Now, there was a serious disconnect because, like I said, for me, having this angle, stopping it, and now bringing it back up just before Forbidden Door felt a little disingenuous. It just felt like this is for Forbidden Door. Once we get past Forbidden Door, it'll be SOP once again. So in that scenario, I didn't necessarily like the setup, but Will Yuta getting the pin makes sense. And just the build for Forbidden Door, okay, fair enough. That makes sense too. Like I said, there's a couple of guys on the CMLL team that I'd never even heard of before. Volador Jr., I've heard of, seen, check mark, got that. 2 of the other guys, I was like, who the fuck is this? I was like, okay, well, shit, let this shit roll. So, I don't know. I get Zach's point. I get your point. It just, for me, looking at it, it was a flat-out party match, and take it as such. Wheeler gets the pin. Welcome back, little brother.
Yeah, Danielson talked a little bit later on about Wheeler getting the pin and him taking a bunch of losses recently. He was really upset about losing Anarchy in the arena, but so he announced himself that he's going to be in the Owen Hart tournament, and we know that the Owen Hart tournament, the winner is going to wrestle in the main event of Wembley. I think he's got a pretty good shot at winning that Owen Hart tournament.
Yes, I do too. I think he cut the promo because he's going to win.
No, I said he'll have a deep run. I'm still waiting to see what happens with Will Ospreay first. I didn't expect him to even be in the Battle Royal to get the number 1 shot against Swerve, and he won it. So at that point, I agree with everything.
When is Wembley? August? I mean,
it's the show after Forbidden Door, I think, because they got 2 back-to-back. They got All Out and Wembley, like just a couple of weeks away from each other.
Yeah, All Out's usually in September.
All right.
So that's why, for me, I'm just going to hold off, because Will Ospreay is the ultimate wild card. If he wins, if he beats Swerve, a lot of this doesn't matter. If he loses, it would be hard for him not to be in this Owen Hart tournament, especially if he lost to Swerve and dropped the international title.
Ospreay's got to fight for that big belt at Wembley. He just has to.
It makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
Saraya wrestled Mariah May, and this was really like just kind of setting up for the program at the Forbidden Door. Pretty good match overall. Saraya looks a lot better than she did whenever she initially came back, and Mariah May is really good in the ring. Saraya really just fucking murdered Mariah with the DDT in this match. It looked brutal. but she ended up putting her in a submission. I don't know what it's called. It's like the
Rampage, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, the Rampage. And they did really good camera work. They were going back and forth because Toni Storm was on commentary. Very funny commentary, by the way. They'd show her and she'd be in black and white. She's saying, AEW where the breasts wrestle and, all of this. And Brian May's like looking at her like for help and assistance whenever she's in the Rampage. And Tony's like, "Oh, darling, you have to get out of this move. You can't stay in this move." And then she ends up tapping out. So she runs in to kind of like console her. Yeah, there's some fuckery, and then Mina Shirakawa runs down and ends up taking out Saraya and Harley, and she bumps tits with Tony a few times, and Mariah gets in between them and puts them both to her breasts and holds them close. So,
dude, those two could have bumped breasts like that and jump started a Honda Civic.
This is fun stuff. I mean, Mina Shirakawa, you're familiar with her Stardom stuff. Like her gimmick, if you're offended by this, like her gimmick is literally that she's got like the best tits in Stardom. That's like her whole character. And she's a lot of fun. I think this match is going to be fun. The story is good to set up the eventual split between Tony and Mariah. I am into this, and not just with my libido.
Shit. I'll just say this. As a Stardom fan, I just wish they would give Mina a little more background. I know that me watching Stardom makes me a big-time mark, guilty as charged, but they're not other big-time marks like me out there. So the fact that we're going to have her wrestle the woman that shall be named mention list on Rampage on Friday night, I think that's a good start. But there should have been more of this is who Mina Shirakawa is. This is what she's done, blah, blah, blah. More of a setup, a build for her before just throwing her out here into the mix. Her reactions from the crowd are okay, but they become better once you get Mariah and Tony in because they're familiar faces. I just don't think that they've done a good enough job to introduce Shirakawa as a performer before throwing her into this angle.
And then we had the main event, which was Swerve Strickland versus Roderick Strong. And this was a very fun match, really well wrestled as you expect. Maybe suffered a little bit just because a lack of believability in the fact that he was actually going to win. And also, again, Matt Taven and, what's his name? Matt Bennett. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. Really do a terrible job of not being. They're horribly conspicuous in their interference. So it's almost like a meme at this point. So
hang on.
This suffered because there was no intrigue as to who was going to win, but it was done well. I'm a Roderick Strong mark. I'm a Swerve mark, so I was totally cool with it. Jason, thoughts?
No, I agree with overall. Roddy is one of those guys. He's to me like Kyle O'Reilly. You're going to get a good match out of him, but it feels like we've kind of seen the ceiling for at least Roddy in this scenario. I kind of wish he would have had a little longer run with the international title, at least give him some shine in that matter. But you knew you were going to get a good match, and this was a good match. I like the fact that, Roddy just didn't go down, quietly into that good night. I wish they got like 5 or 10 more minutes just to be selfish, because I think, this is a match we won't see anytime soon. So, as long as we got it, might as well milk that motherfucker. But ultimately, the right guy went over. It made, it builds Swerve's title run. So, in 3 or 4 months, we'll look up and we'll be hearing Swerve saying, I beat this dude, beat this dude, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So in that scenario, it'll make his title run feel more significant.
Wins. He needs to beat Ospreay.
I don't know if he needs to, but I would really like for him to do so. I would be lying if I said otherwise.
All right. And that is going to do it for our 2 counts.
1,
Hey, everybody, this is one of those rare occasions when we get predictions on one of the counts. But what do you guys want to do first? You know what? We'll do NJPW Dominion happening on June the 9th. I said early on that this is a good card on paper, and Jason kind of told me to hold back for a second. Hey, watch yourself. Shake that ass. Shh, but watch it first.
Is that a mystical reference?
We got the curtain jerker, at least on Wikipedia, is Tetsuya Naito versus Callum Newman in a singles match. Very.
Here, I got to say something real quick.
Please.
I Googled this because I was like, I got to check out this full Dominion card whenever you mentioned the predictions, because I forgot, even though it's always the second week in June. And I was like, Tetsuya Naito versus Callum Newman, and I'm like, who is that? And then I clicked on him, and it just takes you to the United Empire Wikipedia page. He doesn't even have his own Wikipedia page. I just forgot who he was. So, I mean, him wrestling Naito in the opener. Am I an idiot? Like, I've been out of touch with New Japan a little bit. This just really surprised me.
I think that, I didn't know that this match existed until I looked at the Wikipedia page. But Callum Newman is a guy that, from what I understand, they like quite a bit, and that they're thinking that he is like, because he's from the Will Ospreay tree, right?
Essentially,
so they think of him as like a Will Ospreay potential. You don't get very many Will Ospreays, but they think of him in the same vein that they think of Will Ospreay.
Obviously, a part of the United Empire is Callum Newman. Will Ospreay
He's
recruited
really
him.
young.
Yeah, I think he's like 19.
25? Oh, no, I think he's...
No, I'm thinking of Nick Wayne. Yeah, he's...
You wouldn't know because this guy doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
No,
that's really surprising.
He was a part of the cage match or whatever. He was getting a part of the beatdown of random guys. That,
okay. I just Googled him. I know who this guy is.
So
I just didn't recognize him by name.
So basically, the setup is that Callum Newman has been wanting to challenge Naito for quite a while. They wrestled each other in the lower part of the cards or whatever the case may be in the six-man tags, and now here's the chance for Callum Newman to, prove himself against a former IWGP champion. Basically, that's the setup.
So who do you got, Jason?
If I take Naito, if I don't take Naito, better choice of words, I'll be a hypocrite. So I have to take my man. I got to go with him.
Zach, who you got?
Yeah, I feel like, Naito, he's hit a ceiling. I do think that they're going to keep him established at least for a little while. I don't think Callum Newman's pulling it off. I'm going to go with Naito.
I don't think this is a slam dunk as we might think.
I'm not saying it's slam dunk.
It appears on paper. I really want to go Newman, but I think I got some. I think that he's going to have a really good showing. I think that he's going to be in the G1 this year. But I'm taking Naito.
You think Callum Newman's going to be in the G1 this year?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't be too bold. I'm behind.
You have to expect that it's going to be 32 guys again.
I don't think you have to expect that.
You don't?
Battle of Super Juniors were.
I hope it's not.
I think that was the number. 16 feels like the number.
Well, last year they announced the G1 at Dominion, so they announced the contenders. So we should find out this weekend. Anyway, up next we have a six-man match: TMDK versus the War Dogs, and I will. Zach, who do you got? I'll figure out who's in this.
This is really tough. Both these groups are great. Both, it's hard to say. I'm gonna go with just fucking classic Bullet Club fuckery. I'm gonna pick the Bullet Club. Not clean.
Jason, who do you got?
I was going to say I'm picking the War Dogs too. I don't have a lot of faith in the TMDK booking across the board, minus Zack Sabre Jr. I feel like the War Dogs are just the way that the story has kind of developed, War Dogs seemingly beat TMDK when push comes to shove. I think it continues here.
You know what? I'm going to have a little fun here, and I'm going to take TMDK. Zack Sabre Jr. is in the match. He certainly doesn't have to take the pin. I guess it would make sense if he... No. I think that Zack Sabre Jr. stays strong. I have no idea why I'm picking this, but I just wrote down TMDK, and I'm going to defend it, and I'm going to keep...
You have the shirt, for Christ's sake. You need to take it.
Yeah, the mighty don't kneel. Those are my dogs, so I am taking TMDK. Up next with Stormcatch rules for the KOPW Championship. Stormcatch rules, from what I understand, it's kind of similar to the Pure Championship rules. Like,
sounds right, yeah.
You only get 2 rope breaks and some other stuff. I don't know. Anyway, it's Yuya Uemura versus the Great Okan. Uemura is the champion. I will go first here. I'm going to stick with the champ. I am going to take Yuya because Great Okan never wins. Jason, who do you got?
I really want to pick Great Okan. I do. Every time they just disappoint me. I agree. I'll go with Yuya Uemura. Feels like the rising star. It would almost be just wild to see because Great Okan has this like legitimate wrestling background and he could do all these different things. And to see him lose this kind of a match would be another nail in his, wrestling kayfabe coffin, so to speak. But I'm going to stick with my gut, and my gut tells me Uemura is going to retain.
Zach.
Need a new shirt that says kayfabe coffin flop.
They said that to me at a dinner.
Uemura is for the children. I'm picking Uemura.
Up next, we have... before you looked at the Wikipedia page, do you think that you could have named who the 6-man champions were? Do you know who the 6-man champions are now?
Tanahashi.
I would have got Tanahashi, but I would have got the other.
And Ishii.
Nope. Oleg, Tanahashi, and that's right, Toriano. Versus Yodatsuji, Bushi, and Hiromu, which is a kind of an insane 6-man team there. Who do you got for the never 6-man title, Zach?
I mean, that seems like just a powerhouse of a team. I have to pick LIJ, and I'm a big LIJ fan. And I feel like that's just where it's at.
Yeah, I'm going LIJ too. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I'm taking LIJ.
First and foremost, obviously fuck Yano, but yeah, I can't take anybody but LIJ at this point. This probably would be the one time that I might kick some shit over if LIJ doesn't win. I kind of expect Naito to do his thing. I just dislike Yano so much in a kayfabe fashion that I expect I expect that he should go ahead and do some fuckery, but hopefully the fuckery does not come into a retaining of the never 6-man titles. I just don't like Yano. The fact that he has a title bothers the shit out of me. It really
Jeff
does. Cobb
versus Tomohiro Ishii for the TV title. Jeff Cobb is your champion. Jason, go ahead.
For 15 minutes or less, this should be a banger, and I expect it to be such. Ishii is always going to be that guy that's going to give you a nice little match that you just don't necessarily see coming, but all of a sudden you're just invested in this match. I expect him to be a part of the G1. I would love to see him win it, but Jeff Cobb is that guy right now. I expect him to retain because you need to keep Jeff Cobb strong as well as Ishii. I expect both of them to be in the G1.
Did
Jeff
you
Cobb
just mention something about Ishii winning the G1?
No, I want him to be in the G1. I expect him to be in the G1.
He said his knee's kind of fucked up.
What isn't fucked up with Tomohiro Ishii?
His neck?
Dude, you know his body when he looks in the mirror is like, you done fucked up, right? You done fucked up, right?
So you took that superplex at 9:30, right?
This match is possibly going to be fucking awesome. I am also taking Jeff Cobb though. He got Zach.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, but I do think Cobb's going to win it.
Up next, we have a 4-way eliminator match for the. They're going to unify, or no, they're not going to unify it, but it's for both the. Help me out here.
The IWGP
The
and the
Strong
Strong.
and the IWGP.
Strong. Sorry, I couldn't find that word. So we have the Bullet Club, Kenta and Chase Owens versus TMDK, Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols versus GOD, ELP and Hikuleo, and Bishamon, Yoshihashi and Godo. So I need it from least to most. Oh, I'm going first here. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. I'll take, dang it. I don't, sorry. I'm going to pick with my pocketbook and not with my heart.
You guys are so fucked on these.
I'm going
I'm glad he's going first.
I'm going Guerrillas of Destiny last. I'm going TMDK next. Fuck. I'm going Bishamon second, and I am taking, against my better judgment, I am taking Chase Owens and Kenta. Oh, that sounds bad, man. Jason, go ahead. I think there's going to be some point fluctuations. I'm
going to go least to most. Let's go. Let's go.
Yomura.
GOD at 4. TMDK at 3. Kenta and Chase at 2. Bishamon at 1.
Zach.
Oh, man. I'm going to
put tough one. This is a tough one.
Fuck.
This seems like all 4 are losers. It doesn't seem like any of them should win.
Bishamon is the queer team, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win. Chase and Kenta were the champs just not too long ago.
I barely watched this, and I have no idea what's going to happen. You keep saying these names, and I'm like, I know Bill's got one of their T-shirts, so I'm going to pick him.
Man, Hikuleo's already halfway in the bloodline, probably.
I'm going to go... yeah, that's actually the main reason I'm putting GOD at the bottom.
Yep, me too.
Leo to be going to WWE. That's the main reason. And then I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to do Bullet Club, like Kenta and Chase at number 3, TMDK at number 2, and Bishamon at number 1.
Sorry, I am writing this down. Bishamon at 1 and Bullet Club at second least. Okay, and then we have in what? I don't think this is going to be the match of the night, but I think that this is going to be a fucking banger. We have...
It could be.
It could be. I have a lot of hopes for Moxley versus Evil. Just kidding. But we have,
God, you ain't shit.
But Shingo versus Hanare for the never open weight championship. Jason, go ahead.
No, this I do have expectations for this match. Not high, but I do have expectations. Hanare and Shingo have banged it out before for the KOPW title. Hanare's biggest win to date is over Shingo. I'm a big proponent of Shingo going back up to the main event scene. The one way to do it is for Hanare to take the title off of the Never title. Doesn't stay on anybody for too long. I expect that tradition to continue. I'll just go ahead and say it. This is my upset special of the week. I'm taking Hanare over Shingo Takagi.
I'm actually doing the exact same thing, even though I rarely ever bet against Shingo, and Shingo is the champion, and Shingo is awesome. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, like, all time. I just think Hanare is more suited for this level of competition and for that title, and Takagi should absolutely be wrestling like Moxley. Even though Shingo versus Hanare is going to be awesome, I'm glad that he's there to do it. He should be in the main event team, like Jason said.
No, it definitely should be interesting. We both took Hanare for our picks. You're up.
Happy to make up some points, Phil.
Both of you guys took Hanare?
Both of us took Hanare.
Man, I was thinking I was going to take an RA, and I'm not going to change it just to spice it up. I think that, we already got some spicy stuff, and we'll get some more spicy stuff. But you know what? No, I'm taking Shingo.
You ain't shit.
You fucking idiot.
Up next, and what is the can only be described as a very, very lackluster heavyweight championship match. We have Jon Moxley, who is your champion, versus Evil in a lumberjack match. Jason, who do you got?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't even give a shit about this. I mean,
You got to pick.
I know I do, and I'm going to pick. And it's easy to
This is
pick.
a shower match.
If it wasn't the main event, it could be. I mean, Moxley should
It's
be
not
the
the main
pick,
event.
right?
It's not the main event.
It's not the main event. I totally forgot. BSOJ final was the main event. But that's how Moxley's supposed to elevate this title, and now it's not the main event. And now you put him against Evil, who could easily win this shit. Evil could easily win this. That's worst case scenario. So when you give Moxley the title and you pass it over to Evil, that makes no fucking sense to me. But the scary part about it is that could easily fucking happen because they took it off Naito, so you could easily take it off of fucking Moxley and it wouldn't be an issue. I'm picking Jon Moxley, but this scares the fucking shit out of me because the simple fact is Evil has been booked in situations like this to take titles away from motherfuckers, and I can easily see him taking the title away from Moxley. Who the fuck's Moxley gonna have out there? Shooter and his boys? Please. It's fucking House of Torture over there on the other side. They are the fucking masteries of fuckery in New Japan. So now all of a sudden you're gonna have them in a scenario all set up for Evil to win? And we're not gonna take Evil seriously? You need to.
Jason.
Need to.
Jason. I'm taking Evil.
See? There you go.
This is set up so that Jon Moxley can lose the match.
Fuck that.
Without having to take a real pin.
Man, kiss my ass, man. No.
They gave their belts to the Gaijin, and now they're taking them
So
away
how
from the
does this
Gaijin.
elevate the title?
It doesn't.
So why did we give it to Moxley?
Here, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. But there was some kind of deal made, man. I don't know.
Fuck that,
or they gave it to Riddle, Ziggler, and Moxley, and now they're like, you know what? We need to change course. Either way, I'm taking Evil because this is how. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not booking, Jason. Don't yell at me. But
Don't defend it then.
if it ends up being where Shota Umino ends up taking it off of Evil, that's fine, I guess. I'm not for this, dude. I am so against. Even if that's the only way they
Here,
can
take this,
save
man.
it.
Take
No.
this.
Anyway, I'm
No.
taking Evil,
Dude,
Zach, who you got?
you know evil is like Shooter McGavin, and he's like, I'm over here trying to chip while two big bikers are having sex on 14. How am I supposed to chip with that? How am I supposed to chip with that, Guido? Huh? Somebody explain that to me. All these white guys over here. That's exactly what's going on.
Zach, who
Fuck
you got?
this.
I've got Moxley just because, IW New Japan is a distant third on a national stage and maybe even arguably fourth. And I feel like they're going to put the bigger star, and Moxley can garner the interest across the globe, something that Evil cannot do. So I think Moxley is going to retain. I do usually not like Lumberjack as a gimmick. I think it's perfect for this match, though.
Who
To
fights?
get it out in the open.
Who does Moxley fight at Forbidden Door?
Good question. Would it be somebody from AEW, who's the IWGP champ? Would it be somebody from? I don't know. I actually think a great opponent for Moxley from Forbidden would be like Roosh, but they've had those matches before. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it at all, which is weird that I hadn't thought about it, but I had thought about it.
Yeah, because Swerve and Ospreay, that's the match. That's the one that we talking about. You can have Moxley on the match if you want to.
It's
It makes total
going to be
sense.
Forbidden Door with all AEW guys.
Yeah.
So
So,
far, it feels
anyway.
like it, yeah.
Oh, right. Well, that's a little spicy, too. Look at me, guys. I'm doing the work. I'm spicing this shit up.
Whatever,
And then
motherfucker.
finally,
Fuck.
we got the BOSJ finals. But this is not for the championship, correct?
Oh, it is.
All right.
This is the final.
Right. It's the final, but it's not for the belt, right?
No. The winner will face the champion.
So, we have El Desperado, Despy versus Taiji Ishimori. Now this, if Ishimori is motivated, could be the match of the night. Probably should be the match of the night.
It will be the match of the night.
Match of the year contender.
I love that you gave it that qualifier because it's exactly how I thought about it. I was like, it depends on how hard Ishimori is working. Otherwise, Shingo and Hanare are going to feel it.
Right. So I'll go first here. I will take Despy. Just because Ishimori is a little bit older, and I like Desperado more, so I'll take Despy. Who you got, Zach?
Desperado.
Jason, who you got?
You ain't shit, dog, man. How you singing that motherfucking song? I really want to pick Ishimori. I do. I think Ishimori will be motivated. This is the same guy that last year was knocked out of the tournament by injury and now has come back and now is in the final.
Take him, you coward.
You're calling me out, are you? I already said my upset special was Hanare and Shingo. I think that's a solid go. But fuck it, we'll spice this motherfucker up. Give me that paprika. I'll take Ishimori. Fuck it, I ain't got no fear on this body. Ishimori, I think, will be ready to compete. Desperado has basically done everything but win this. Ishimori has never won it, so you're going to have a first-time winner regardless. I think Ishimori is ready to go, and it would be a surprise to see this happen. Desperado is probably the choice, but fuck it. I'll take Ishimori. I ain't scared.
I mean,
that paprika's about to get smoked.
I tell you what, this is probably the first time in the history that I've been watching New Japan where I'm like, man, that main event for the heavyweight title, that looks like the worst match on the card.
You said it. I'm thinking it. No, I ain't thinking it, but it's Evil does not do anything for me as a
man. House of Torture sucks. Anyway, that's going to do it for our 3 count. Bo pressed it again. I was going to let it play out so I could do the sound. That's a first ever. We've never played the 3 count over the music.
Hey, you're the DJ. I'm the rapper.
Okay.
We have a very interesting NXT Battleground pay-per-view this Sunday night. I am sorry about this first match that I'm going to make you guys do this, but it is a 6-way ladder match for the inaugural
I've been
NXT
thinking about this.
North American. I'll go first. I wrote it down to let you guys get your bearings because this is a
fucking wild card and a half.
I mean to tell you, I'm like, who the fuck is going to win this shit?
We have Michin. We have Sol Ruka versus Michin versus Lash Legend versus Fallon Henley versus Jada Parker versus Kalani Jordan for the inaugural NXT North American Women's Championship. I'm going to go from least to most. And I do know who all these people are. I have Michin as the least most, Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka, Jada Parker, Lash Legend, and Fallon Henley as my favorite to win this match from least to most. Jason, you don't even have anything in front of you. You're going to do it from memory.
Go through that again real quick. I just want to hear your ears. Sorry.
Michin, Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka, Jada Parker, Lash Legend, and Fallon Henley as your winner. Jason, go ahead.
Okay.
That's a pretty good list.
Okay, least to most. I agree with Michin. I got her at 6. Just no reason for her to be there. 5, I'm going Kalani Jordan. I did see something this week on NXT where I'm like, okay, I see why they're high on her. This is the first time I've actually started to come around on Kalani Jordan. So give that respect on that scenario. 4, I'm going to go with not Fallon Henley. Yeah, Fallon Henley at 4. Take that back. Fallon feels like she could win it, but I'm just not sold on her yet. 3, I'm going to go with Jada Parker. I almost feel like she can win it. They've been pushing her strong up to this point, but it feels like it's not the time just yet. 2, Lash Legend. Think that if number 1 wasn't Sol Ruka, that's obviously my number 1. If Ruka wasn't in, I would take Lash Legend. obviously, her build up to this has been strong. She was good in the Iron Survivor match. She really stood out there. So that's kind of the reason why I was leaning towards her. But Sol Ruca coming back from injury, her moveset is a babyface moveset. You got Roxanne as a babyface or as a heel champion. So on the flip side, my guess is a heel a babyface mid-card champion. I'm taking Sol Ruca to win the match.
BFR listener, all you beefers out there, I want you to go and smash that 5-star button wherever you get your podcast, because where the hell else are you going to get somebody cutting a 3.5-minute promo on the NXT North American Women's Championship match? Zach, who do you got?
Not even on NXT.
I know. That is some analysis from your boy in the field.
Fuck you guys.
Probably shouldn't call you boy in the field.
or at least not to his face.
Who you got, Zach?
Pretty similar.
Hulk Hogan over here.
It's kind of like a blend of you guys. Meechin at number 6, Jada Parker at number 5, Connie Jordan at number 4, Fallon Henley at number 3, Sol Ruca at number 2, and Last Legend at number 1. I think having Last Legend be she's very much improved from like a while back. She's improving all of the time, and she's in like kind of that main event angle with Trick and her like having that NXT North American Championship. I think is kind of like that's what I'm thinking. That's the reasoning, but that's why I'm putting Sol Ruca at number 2. Sol Ruca is a fucking freak athlete. Like, she's going to be on the main roster, and she's going to be a fucking superstar for sure. And I think Fallon Henley could go to the main roster and be good right now. So that's why they're in my top 3. I like all 3 of those women. Last Legend, never thought I'd say it whenever I first was watching her on NXT 2.0, whenever they had the spray paint stuff and they removed her from black and gold. She was not good. She has really worked her ass off. Yeah, I think she's going to be the number 1.
I could see any 3. We all have 3 different winners, and I could see any single one of them winning. Up next, we have Wesley.
Who did you pick? I thought you picked Lash, too.
No, I took Lash second to most. I took Fallon Henley. Next up, we have Wesley versus Joe Coffey versus Obafemi. Obafemi is your North American champion. Jason, go ahead.
I'm assuming we're going least to most on this as well. Coffey at 3. Good to see Joe Coffey back, but I just don't see this as the spot for Joe Coffey. He feels like the guy that's going to take the pin. 2 is Wesley. Probably, I think this will be one of his first or second matches back, so it'll be good to see Wesley back in the ring doing what he does. But number 1 has got, at least for me, has got to be Obafemi. I think he needs to have a strong, long NXT title run coinciding with Trick. As long as Trick is champion, Obafemi needs to be champion on the North American title side until you finally get a possible one-on-one match with Obafemi versus Wesley. If you want to take the title off at that point, I would be cool with that. But right now, it's Obafemi. He's just way too strong, way too over, in my mind, to take the title off him in this spot.
Zach, who do you got?
I got it the same way for pretty much the same reason, so...
I have Wesley last. I have Wesley taking the pin. I have Joe Coffey winning this thing. I have Joe Coffey going over Obafemi with some fuckery from Gallus, and we're putting Obafemi in chase mode. Joe Coffey has been getting a ton of TV time all over the place. He's talking shit to the champion. I think they have big plans for him this time around. So I'm taking, and he's a veteran.
I like that. I mean, yeah, I don't think you're far off, because I feel like Shawn Michaels loves Joe Coffey. Like,
yeah,
he's definitely kind of an NXT darling. Like, Michaels seems to be a big fan. Triple H seems to be a big fan with NXT UK. I was one of the, 700 people that watched NXT UK.
I watched it for
regular.
You guys were 2 of the 700.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. That's bold, but I don't think it's zesty. It's bold, but it's not quite zesty.
Yeah. So we got Lola Vice versus Shayna Baszler in an NXT Underground match. Who do you got, Zach?
I think it's going to be Shayna Baszler. This is kind of like her category. So she is a main roster star. I'm going to go with her.
Jason.
The fact I'm hesitating should say it all. I'll take Shayna Baszler.
I am taking Lola Vice. Lola Vice they're high on her too, and she's got that MMA background also. Shayna Baszler is on TV every week on Raw, so I think she's down here to do the job. I got Lola Vice.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Up next, we have Roxanne Perez versus TNA champion Jordynne Grace. This is very
intriguing,
very interesting. I'll go first here. Part of me is like, I can't see the NXT champion dropping it to TNA, but then part of me is like, wait a minute, what do they have planned? Is this like just the opening salvo in what's going to be a huge crossover angle? Because then we're going to look back at Jordynne Grace winning and be like, well, of course she won because that was the summer of fucking TNA or whatever. That's so fucking weird to say. I'm taking. But why would TNA let their champ just cut? I mean, I guess it makes sense for TNA. TNA still gets a benefit. I'm back and forth on this one. I feel like I want to do it. God, that would be fucking shocking, though. I'm gonna take Roxanne Perez. Jason, who you got?
I should have just took my headphones off and just walked away because I had my pick pretty much set in stone, and then listening to you has me really hedging my bets. The word partnership, when Jordynne Grace was interviewed last week, is now like really ringing into my head. She used the word, so there's something going on. Now, how deep the rabbit hole goes, I don't know, but I'm assuming we're going to find out. I'm going to be conservative on this one. I'm going to take Roxanne. It would not surprise me in the least.
It would be badass.
It would be amazing to see, just because TNA has always been the redheaded stepchild of professional wrestling.
Yep. So
now if you have their champion, and I don't care if it's the women's or the men's side, come over and beat the NXT champion, which, depending on who you talk to, is the developmental brand. I'm saying it's going to be the third brand, and this might be the step forward to making it the third official brand of WWE. I'm taking Roxanne Perez. Damn it, I'm sticking to it.
Zach, who you got?
I hope you're ready for the one-chip challenge, because I'm going to serve you up a spicy nacho. And that is, I'm taking Jordynne Grace to win this one. I would never do it if this was not the Vince McMahon era.
That's my dog.
But
that's my dog.
There's an open challenge for Jordynne Grace's title right after this. I fully expect somebody to come over, like maybe Natty. They're pulling the whole Natty's going to be a free agent thing. And then trading titles for a little while. I think it's something that's very Nick Khan, Triple H. It is not Vince McMahon. Going on the limb for the upset of the league with Jordynne Grace.
Love it.
Hell yeah.
Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus the OC, the Good Brothers. Zach, you're up first.
Yeah. I mean, Nathan Frazier and Axiom are the balls and Pong, and Rick Gallows and Carl Anderson are just the paddles. They're like kind of back and forth. They're going to be ping-ponging back and forth off of them. I got Nathan Frazier and Axiom. They're a super fun team, super talented. But it wouldn't surprise me. Gallows and Anderson went over, but I really like that team. I don't want to bet against them. So.
Yeah, I mean, Gallows and Anderson, they don't want that shit. I'm taking Nathan.
They never defend it.
Yeah, I'm taking Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Jason.
They gotta go to work.
I don't want.
And they gotta talk to the microphone. And it's like it's not too sweet anymore. It's like,
I don't want it.
Dude.
Jason, who you got?
It almost like weeks ago we were like, the reason the OC's down there, they're gonna win the titles, and now we're just like, fuck it, we're not even gonna pick them. I'm gonna stick to my word.
Time is a cruel bitch.
I'm taking them. I'm taking the OC. I don't care if I'm losing points. I'm gonna stick to my guns. The reason why they're there is to take the titles.
I respect that, guys. Finally, we have Trick Williams versus Ethan Page. All ego Ethan Page for the heavyweight championship. I will go first here, fellas. No, you know what? I went first on Jordan Grace. Jason, go ahead.
I have no problem going first. This is my Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the week. I'm taking Trick Williams. It's good to see Ethan Page feel relevant, look relevant. Just like wrong place, wrong time. From this point, however they want to use Ethan Page, I don't have a problem with it, but it's just way too early for Trick Williams to drop the title. Unless there's a ridiculous amount of fuckery going on, there's not a way in the world I can see Ethan Page winning the title. Should the match be good? Yeah, but I'm taking Trick Williams.
Zach, who you got?
Yeah, match will be good. Ethan Page is a really good worker. But I also think he's a very credible contender. This is a super interesting match. I really like what they've done with Page in just the 2 weeks. But it is, he's going to whoop that Trick on Saturday and Sunday.
Guys, I'm taking Ethan Page.
What the fuck?
Wowza.
Oh, no!
I love the idea of Ethan Page coming in. And if I'm wrong about Roxanne Perez, then maybe Jordan Grace and Ethan Page win it, and it's a full-on TNA invasion. And that's why they made such a big deal about the contract and how there's things in that contract that Ava just doesn't want to sign for. Trick Williams being like, actually, I don't fucking care. Sign this. I hate this dude so much that I want to fight him. And there's going to be something in that contract. I don't know what it's going to be. But I'm saying I am taking
the contract is the kicker.
I am kind of hedging my bet here because I wanted to pick Jordan Grace so bad that, like, if they do decide to go forward with the TNA angle, having your champs be Ethan Page and Jordan Grace on the same pay-per-view at the same time, brother, that would be. This is how I lose the lead in this game, by the way. Like,
I'm sitting over here shaking my head, but I ain't even thinking about that. I'm thinking about the wrestling ramifications. You are actually making a little sense.
They need to take. There needs to be some intrigue in belts changing hands again. They're just never guys get the belt and they hold it forever. Trick Williams winning it off Carmelo Hayes. That story's done. New story. Dragunov, sorry. But him winning it off
Hayes.
Right. But he also had the big story with Hayes. So I don't know. I'm taking Ethan Page.
Bill's over here like, you want this hot shit, Wyclef? You want this hot shit?
I just dropped.
You want this hot shit, Wyclef?
Man, my picks.
If you don't know that joke, watch Dave Chappelle.
I'm gonna lose so many points this week.
I took the OC for Christ's sake. That's a fat ass hell. I'm gonna walk out in the car like, you stupid son of a bitch.
I took Evil too.
Unless you win.
Now I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Then maybe I'll let you wear the belt.
The score right now is Bill is
maybe
in
I'll let you wear the belt over here.
Bill's in first with 87. Jason is in second with 87, and Two Beers Zach has 84.
I love how I'm second. Same number of points.
Hey, everybody, we got some birthdays this week. Drew McIntyre is 39 years old. Superstar Billy Graham, R.I.P. would have been 81. He must have been pretty old in the 80s. I guess he was in like his mid 40s, maybe 50s.
Yes.
Howard Finkel, R.I.P. 74. Mick Foley still going strong is 59. Tatanka is the same age as Mick Foley, 59. That is fucking weird. That can't be right, can it? He's got a Wikipedia page. We could check this. Liv Morgan is 30. Dan Severn, remember Dan Severn? He is 66. Ty
school run in
Conti,
WWE.
congratulations on the kid, is 29. Deanna Parazzo is 30. Hikaru Shida is 36. And Mark Henry, the aforementioned, I got plenty left in the tank. He's got plenty left in the tank at age 53. Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so oh, wait, hold on a second. Oh, wait, sorry. Bo wanted to give a shout-out to this great cause.
Yeah, so I want to shout out to my boys, Dueling for Lincoln FC. They're out there in North Carolina right now, playing in the 7-on-7 TST tournament. It's a tournament that is based in America, $1 million winners. These guys are out there. They're a ragtag bunch of guys. I've been playing with them for quite a while. Dueling for Lincoln it's a nonprofit organization. They've raised lots of money it's called JMML. Look it up because I can't say all the words that are involved in it. But the primary focus of this group is they started a program. It's called the Heartbeat Animal Program. And basically what it does is right before you lose a loved one, if you want to record their heartbeat, you can do that, and they will put it in a stuffed animal, a bear, a T-shirt, whatever you like so that you can always remember them. But my boys are out there right now. They are leading the group. They just won the group. They won all 3 games. They beat the rival champs, and they are moving on to the semifinals. So I just want to give you a shout-out for my guys who are out there doing their thing. Check it out, Dueling for Lincoln FC. It's on Facebook, Instagram. Everywhere you look, you'll find it. You Google it, you'll find it. But these are my guys, and they are a fan of the show, provider of the show, and they want your support. So thank you, everybody.
Dueling for Lincoln, great cause, so check that out. Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Bo.
Check.
For my family in there. For
Check.
Tender Mahal. For Lucy
Check.
Chris. For Murray.
Check.
Murray.
Check.
For Brett Jagger.
Check.
For Patriot Pat.
Check.
For Two Beer Zach Coleman.
Check.
For Jason Cornelius Bell.
Meet you out, bitches.
I'm Bill Vagey.
Check.
Remember to go wherever you listen to your podcast and give us 5 stars. Give us a review.
Check.
Black Lives Matter.
Check.
Support your local weed
Check.
dealers. Support your local
Check.
restaurants. And never, ever forget to boo the heels.
Boo! Bitch.
Shut up, bitches.